to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mayor, before we get started, when we get to that place, I'd like to at least put a proposal to amend the agenda.
Okey-dokey. Under our consent, I am calling the meeting to order incidentally. Under our consent agenda, the council minutes of June 23rd, 2015 is all we have.
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
I believe that to be 5-0. Under recognitions, we're waiting on a young man to come, so we're gonna jump down to citizens' hearings and get an update from Sue Farrar, Executive Director, Montgomery Museum and Lewis Miller Regional Arts Center, on the musical traditions at Montgomery County Museum.
I'm sorry, it's so many words. Make it short, there's no acronym, we can't do everything at once. I'm just here briefly to give a great big thanks to the town for all that you did to help us make that event a success. You gave us a very generous sponsorship, and we're thrilled with the partnership idea, and that sponsorship took us to a place where we made some money, which was very important. Not only that, but you brought in, you just went all out to do all that the town could do with service from, well, it was Charlton, I don't know what department I'm calling it, right, it's Parks and Rec, but however that comes. He and his team came and set us up, and we had police protection, but they had a really good time, and we didn't need protection. It was an all-out, wonderful joint effort, and we are just very grateful to you. Mostly, I just want to thank you. We felt it was a really good event. It certainly can be better. We didn't have the crowds we expected, but we had an awful lot of competition with all the things that Crooked Road was doing in that time. And we know we did some things right, and we know we did some things wrong. So we're in an appraisal situation right now, looking at what we would want to do differently and have thoughts to do it differently. But all in all, it was a good day. Thank goodness rain cooperated, or the non-rain. And people had a good time. New people came to the museum, which is something we're always looking for. And we got 8 new members, which is great at one day. And we just felt it was a good atmosphere. Everybody involved felt good about it. We were all very tired because we had planned and worked very hard. But one of the best things is it has put us on the map as a performing arts center, which we want to enlarge on and go forward with in some different ways. What we do from here on will look a little different because we will not have a big event in the same time frame as the Crooked Road events. That was something we knew during the time we were talking about it during that day, that we'll do something small and do our own thing. We got no benefit from being part of the Crooked Road, so it didn't serve us any purpose. But we're just so pleased to be planning ahead and moving forward. And the most important thing that came from this, bless you, is our relationship with the town. And we want to be working toward furthering that partnership and that relationship with other things we do. So I am just here to tell you thank you. And anybody who didn't come missed a good day, and hopefully anybody who didn't come will come to the next one. We have Heritage Day coming up, and it's a good family day, and we have some new things going on, some new music actually that we found during this Crooked Road event. And on September, that's August 22nd. And on September 20th, we are partnering with Smithfield Plantation to have a concert by the Old Pros. I don't know if any of you have ever heard them. It's a great Old Pros band, big band sound. And we've done this 2 years now, and We have it at the pavilion at Smithfield, and everybody dances, and everybody has a little wine and things, and it's a fun day. So look for information on that. But just know that you all have done a very good thing for the museum, and I hope for the community. And I hope we can continue this ongoing relationship. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Thanks, Sid. Showalter, did you want to, before I get deeper into the citizens' comments, did you have something to add?
Yes, I'd like to put motion on the table that we table, let's see,
You want to say it?
yeah, I don't have it pulled up yet. The, conditional use permit, mainly, and I know we can discuss it if we get a second, but mainly because Mr. Van Hoosier isn't here, he lives in the neighborhood, and I believe that some of the meetings, or at least the one unprecedented meeting that we had last week, I believe this is important for all council to weigh in on.
I'll provide a second.
Motion and a second, any discussion?
We spent a lot of time on this already, and on how much longer we're gonna make everyone wait for us to make a decision.
Would we make that though prior to the action, Mr. Mayor, in the discussion, so in case it does not carry, we can still vote this evening?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, suggestions?
I'll say, I'm gonna try to be respectful of, I think that I'm respectful of the council members. I do believe that Councilman Van Hoosier indicated to me anyway, that if he were here this evening, he was going to abstain because he lived in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And I would not, I think, at the risk of betraying the confidence, I think, given the motion on the table, I will say that if that changes your mind, if it does
It
not.
does, I'll withdraw
Yeah.
my motion. I
Okay.
did not know that.
You withdraw the second?
I will.
Okay, we're back where we started from. Thank you.
Thank you.
This portion of the citizens' hearing is for citizens' comments or anyone that, in the audience would like to discuss issues, matters, questions with the council. I'll ask that you, come to the podium, give us your name and address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, and please address the chair. So, is anybody here to speak to council? After I've wasted all that breath, and I'll close the citizens here. Discussion by mayor and council members, town council action on conditional use permit.
Staff report.
Is what?
Staff reports.
Oh, yeah, we do have one, don't we? We do have a staff report, Parks and Recreation Department, Brad Epple. I'm gonna start highlighting stuff.
Well, thank you all for letting me come tonight and speak a little bit about our department, let you know a little bit about what's going on within our department. It's been a busy month this past month, so we've had a good time, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it. There we go. So, for introduction, I want to talk to you a little bit about our divisional breakdown of our department, the facilities that we manage and maintain, the larger ones, programs and events that we've had in the past month, and if you have any questions, we can talk about that. Okay, first of all, our division of our department, we have administration, which I'm the director. Charlton McCoy is also the assistant director. We run community programs, which is for preschool, youth, adult, and special interest groups. We do senior and special population programs, a variety of different things. We do a lot of aerobic activities for our senior populations. We do health screenings, trips, cooking classes, dances, and etc. We also have a division of adult athletics and camps. And our camps have really taken off this past couple years. We have youth athletics, which is a very important role of our community. We also have outdoor sports facilities and parks. So all the parks that you see within the town, and then also our sports facilities. That's a division. Chuck Muncie actually handles that division, and he's got a very busy job, especially with tournaments and such. Special events, Charlton McCoy, who I've talked about before, the assistant director, handles all of our special events. Those events are such as the 4th of July celebration, the Christmas parade, a variety of different things that we do from a special events perspective. We have a division that's the recreation center. A lot of times it gets misconstrued that it's the recreation center. Well, our department, there's a lot more than just the recreation center. That's a big part of our department, but there's a lot more than just the recreation center. We have a division in field and park maintenance and also building maintenance. So to talk to you a little bit about facilities that we manage and maintain, I'll talk to you about our parks. All of these parks, with the exception of Wall Street and Wayside Park, all have new equipment within the past 3 years. Summit Ridge and Depot Park has underwent a major renovation. Depot Park now has a multi-use field, a walking trail, new playground equipment, and picnic areas, and is being used tremendously. It's been a great thing. Summit Ridge, we just worked with the Ignite group, and they brought about, I don't know, probably about 30 or 40 volunteers out, and we completely renovated and landscaped Summit Ridge Park as well, along with putting in new playground equipment. We have new playground equipment at Circle Park and Downtown Park. The last ones that we were looking at is Wall Street Park and then Wayside Park as well. We're looking into Wayside Park of ways that we can make that park a little bit more appealing to the eye and more enjoyable for folks to be able to come and enjoy. Another facility that, and I call this a facility, but it's a trail, the Huckleberry Trail. We maintain and manage that from the Norfolk Southern Bridge all the way to the Recreation Center. It's an asphalt paved trail for pedestrians and bikes. Now, as all of you know, the bridge is open, and we're excited about that. And so you can go from the Christiansburg Recreation Center all the way to Blacksburg Public Library. Close to an 8-mile trek, and we do have a lot of people that are using that trail and being able to do those things. Here in the near future, September the 11th, we will have a grand opening of the bridge, and the next day we're going to do an 8-mile walk, and we're looking forward to being able to do that. And also later on in the fall, we look forward to doing a 5K race. Future extensions, obviously, as you can see here, all of this section here is completely done. We're going to be looking at this area here, and then coming from Cambria down into Independence, next to where Christiansburg High School is, and then all the way down into downtown is what our goals are. And we're making more of an emphasis with bikeways, walkways, and trails and those types of things within the town of Christiansburg. The Huckleberry Trail will serve as a main vein for the other trails and connectivity from neighborhoods, recreation facilities, schools, and those types of items. And, you know, fortunately, we formed a committee that is working on this, and a great committee, and it's really going to be exciting to be able to see the connections that we're able to do and to be able to provide for our residents. Christiansburg Recreation Center. As you can see, we've got 4 full courts, which have a totally new surface. You can see the difference in our LED lighting from previous to now. It's a huge difference. We have weight room, cardio room. We have an internet cafe. We also have a billiards room in the senior area, kitchen, 2 racquetball courts, large classrooms and multi-purpose areas, and an 1/8 of a mile walking and jogging track, which stays busy all the time. This picture was just taken this past Wednesday, prior to the skills competition for the World Series, which I thought was a really cool picture. This is Harkrader Sports Complex, which was the host site for the World Series that we just had, the headquarters, and we really love Harkrader. As you can see, Harkrader has 3 lighted multipurpose fields. We were open in 2006, It also has a walking trail that is used heavily. We also have tennis and basketball courts and playgrounds there as well. Other facilities is Kiwanis Park. It's the only, actually the only place in Christiansburg that we have covered picnic shelters. We have 2 lighted multi-purpose fields and a playground there that we also use. So programs and events that we've done in the past month. As I said earlier, it's been a busy month. We just recently, Sunday night, finished up the 2015 Nations East Coast Ultimate World Series. We had 60+ teams. This is double the amount of teams that we had last year for the World Series. We had 5 different states that were represented: Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia. This is actually one of our local teams that ended up winning their age division. Chief Sisson is actually the coach of this team, so I wanted to give them a little love on here, so it was good to see that. Within the World Series, as I mentioned, we had 5 states represented, estimated 3,000 visitors into the area, 1,200+ hotel rooms within the New River Valley. And this is a big one here, is the regional appeal. We were able to work together within the town of Christiansburg, the city of Radford, Pulaski County, Virginia Tech, Radford University, and various high school facilities to be able to pull this World Series off. Being able to have that regional acceptance and approach allows us to pool our resources to provide a better product for folks that are coming in. You know, with being able to use Virginia Tech and Radford, it's huge. I heard a number of teams that came in that just really enjoyed being able to go tour the facilities, being able to tour Virginia Tech, and you always want to find something new to be able to do to bring teams in, and this was that this year. And I'm going to get into Jill's Buddy Camp here in a minute, but through the skills competition, we did a base running contest, a throwing contest, and around the horn, and then we did a home run derby. With the home run derby, we raised close to $2,800 for Jill's Buddy Camp, which will help us with field trips and those types of things moving forward with Jill's Buddy Camp. Sunday night, later on Sunday night, through the rain and storms, we were able to finish and complete the World Series, and the state director contacted us and has already told us they want the World Series back here again next year, which is a great thing and a great thing for us. Another item and program that we've done in the past month, which was a first for us, was the 4th of July Festival downtown, and then we did fireworks at Christiansburg High School. You know, it was a learning lesson for us by doing this festival, but I think it was a great festival, and it shows that our citizens really wanted to do this, and we had a good time doing it as well. For the 4th of July Festival downtown, we had 20+ vendors. The farmers market was open, so we were able to cross market for each other. Some of the vendors within the farmers market actually sold out that day. We had children activities, bounce houses, slides, and those types of items. We did a bike rodeo with partnership of Christiansburg Police Department, also the Bikeway Walkway Committee, and that turned out well. We had 5 musical bands that were playing, and they were all great, did a great job. And we had an estimated 2,000 to 2,500+ folks that visited downtown that day, in and out throughout the day. It was busy for the majority of the day. All the vendors really enjoyed it. They want to come back. The one thing that we learned from this year is that we need more food vendors, so we'll be reaching out to the food vendors to come back in next year. And I think once they understand the number and volume of people that were there, they'll want to be there. So we were really excited about this event. And the next event is the Jill's Buddy Camp. Here's some pictures from the camp that we went to. So to tell you a little bit about the Buddy Camp, it's a partnership between the Town of Christiansburg Parks and Recreation Department and Montgomery County Public Schools. This Buddy Camp pairs a teenage buddy with a child from the preschool to 2nd grade age group with a disability. We work on music, art, reading, and physical activity. We were able to go to field trips to a lot of really exciting places, a lot of fun places. We went to New River Valley Super Bowl. The kids were able to play in the arcade. They were able to bowl. They were able to do bumper cars. We went to Christiansburg Police Department, Christiansburg Fire Department. We went fishing one day to a local farm. Every kid there caught a fish. We went to Virginia Tech athletic facilities. All the kids got to go down on Castle Coliseum's floor. They got to come through the tunnel and touch the rock and run out onto the field. And we were able to also go to the Christiansburg Aquatic Center for a swim. And then we also did it's called 5J Farm in Floyd, and it basically was a petting farm, a petting zoo, and we're able to take the children there for an exciting trip. So the money that we were able to raise through the Home Run Derby last year helped pay for the expenses of some of those field trips that we went on, so it was great. Other items, you know, the partnership that we formed with Montgomery County Public Schools, serves as their ESY, Extended School Year. And the superintendent of Montgomery County Schools came out to the camp, was very impressed and just very excited to see what we were able to accomplish. Being able to pool the resources of the school system and our department together just makes a great thing for our community. They were able to provide the professional therapeutic services, and we were able to provide the programming, the facility, and our staff to be able to do things within the field trips. This is the first camp of its nature in Virginia that we are aware of. Most of the time, these types of camps are run directly through the school system. So to be able, sometimes the school systems struggle from a standpoint of facilities and those types of things in the summer. So being able to work together, this helped everybody out, helped the program out. Quite honestly, sometimes in my position, I get caught up in the administrative things of doing things, and being able to work this camp, it sort of drew me back to what got me into this field and what's important. Here's some pictures. This is at Virginia Tech. This is at the Recreation Center. This is playing putt-putt. I forgot that one. We went putt-putt in the Cox's putt-putt. And that's at the 5J farm there. They were able to feed some of the sheep and some of those items. That's all I got. That's why Christiansburg's the only place to play. Does anybody have any questions?
I had the opportunity to come up, Early and I went up to the buddy camp one morning, and it was really, we didn't go on a field trip, but just to see them there, and we were, I guess, late in the second week, and it was just the fact that to see, I'm not sure who got more out of it. I don't know whether the kids that attended the camp or whether the buddies got more out of it, but it was, they all were pleased. One of the little buddies said, "I don't want this to end. I'd rather we just do this all summer." So it was quite interesting to see, and I hope next year, and this will go on next year, that all of us will have a chance to stop by there and see. It's quite heartwarming to see.
Does the body good?
I'll be honest with you, Brandon, one thing that in our conversations that we've had and even in the commitment to, again, I guess we call them special population and special individuals, I think that, and I really do, it's I think one of the hallmarks of since you've been involved with our recreation department, with our town, is your commitment to everybody, not just it's a demographic diversity that you fostered, again, even ability diversity, if you will. And I know your love for the Jill's Buddy Camp because you talk about it all the time, and that's not a bad thing at all. I love it when someone's passionate, especially with kids. But I know even with our the proposals we have involving our new park to come in the future, about having aspects of that park solely dedicated to those individuals who can utilize it. It's not just for one segment or this segment, it's for everyone. So again, I really applaud, as Mayor just mentioned, your efforts in that regard, because that is often, it's very easy to just push aside and really focus on, the kids that can do everything. And it's nice to see that you all have a commitment to those individuals who want to be involved, but it's just so much harder for them to get involved. So again, I think it's a wonderful thing, a wonderful reflection on the town of Christiansburg in general. So I really appreciate your efforts in that regard.
Thank you.
And as far as World Series, Mike's probably up there more than anybody, except for maybe some of the kids. But 60 teams. And how did you like to play on Sunday?
We finished up, I think it was around about 11:45.
6.
We got into a little bit of a storm, and we had a team from North Carolina still playing, a team from South Carolina still playing, and we were able to get it all in.
Mayor, can I mention one thing? If,
Certainly.
as long as everybody's done.
I'll come after you.
Go ahead.
I just have a couple things. I also was there for the baseball, and everything seemed like it was going very smoothly, and it just was a very professional operation, and even from the very first meeting of them all. And I just would like to ask too, I've heard that Chuck Muncie is having some health problems. Can you give us an update on that?
Chuck's doing good. Chuck's doing good. He did have some health problems. Chuck stops by to see us and check on us, and but he is doing good. The town of Christiansburg is his family, and that's what he loves. And he loves the events. He loves the people. He loves the employees, and so he's been getting a little bit bored because he hasn't been at work for a few days, but. He is doing well, and I appreciate you asking. I'll make sure that he does know that. And that does go back to something that I did want to mention is the fact of, the Jill's Buddy Camp went well, the World Series went well, the 4th of July went well. That's all not because of me, it's because of our staff and our community. And I would be wrong not to mention that because our staff I would put them up against anybody. I watched them out there when the storms came through, and the people from South Carolina and North Carolina couldn't believe that we were able to get the fields back ready to play. I've watched our staff cook and make food for the Jill's Buddy Camp for each one of those campers. Just the commitment that they were able to do was just remarkable. And Charlton with the items for the 4th of July, it was great. And beyond that, it's just the commitment of the entire town, public works, police, fire, rescue, aquatics, all of the departments working together. That's what makes Christiansburg so great, and that's what makes us to be able to do events like this.
And Henry, I know you have something to say, but I want to mention one more thing real quick, because I know you want to go last.
You guys are making it easy on me.
I know. The ball fields that we've already got awarded the award series for next year, and I also something else. I hope everybody here is aware of this. But when you first came on, you started that. I hate to call it a liaison or these meetings, but you got all the department directors for Montgomery County, again Tech, Bradford University, so on and so forth. And you all meet how often periodically?
We meet quarterly.
And that allows you all to, I hate to say bid as a group, but that allows you to bid for these larger terms. We talked about this in the years past, but I take it that, I don't mean to, something that stuck out to me is I didn't see town of Blacksburg on there. Do they not have the facilities that I mean, I know the county, but do they not have the individual facilities then? Or?
Well, I think that they probably have the facilities, but they choose not to.
Okay. And I didn't mean that. I was just, I thought maybe they were either omitted or something, but okay.
Right.
But regardless, though, you all have these meetings and everyone attends, and that allows you all to pull off these grand events. And I'll tell you as a coach, nothing, and maybe Mark can mention this as well, nothing's more fun sometimes than being able to go from park to park and the kids stay at the different parks and be able to play and know we got to be at this park in 3 hours and what you're going to do between times. We have as much fun sometimes off the field as we do on the field.
Absolutely.
But I love the fact that you are able to pull those events off because of that close commitment that all these, it's a regional cooperative is what it is.
It really is.
And without that, we couldn't have 60-plus teams. So, again, I really applaud your efforts in that regard as well.
And I would like to say a comment here about the bridge opening, the grand opening on September 11th. I feel like I would be someone amiss if I didn't. And also the 8-mile walk on the 12th. And I feel certain that you can look forward to seeing a lot of people from council and the administration here on that walk on the 8th of September, and people can write that down now.
You see this one at the start, you may not see it at the end. But you see this one.
Thank you, Brad.
Brad, I'd like to say that we truly are fortunate and even blessed to have you in our community. You exude recreation, you exude inspiring leadership, and I mean, just look at you.
I appreciate that.
And we're actually blessed. We're very blessed to have you. And,
Blessed to be here.
okay.
Henry?
There's not much more I can say. I'll just wrap it up. I appreciate you and your staff, and if you pass that along to me. I did not know about the camp. I think that's very interesting and exciting. And I wanted to mention, Chuck Muncie. He's one of those dedicated employees that luckily is from the town, is familiar, a lot of people know him. And I just wanted to wish my best and councils on his recovery, and we look forward to seeing him out there again. I do miss seeing him when we're
I do
out.
too.
I had a conversation with Chuck up at the World Series, and he said, he said, I used to sit here and just count down. I got 5 years till I can retire. And he says, I'm so bored. I said, I'll never retire. I'm gonna die right here on the job. So that was a good thing. Thank you, Brad. Any other comments?
Thank you all
Thank you.
very much.
Appreciate it. Now, discussion by mayor and council members, town council action on conditional use permit for major home occupation to allow for firearm sales at 185 South Central Drive. Public hearing was held June 23rd, 2015.
Like me to read that.
Mr.
Planning
Yeah, if
Commission.
you'll read the planning commission's recommendations.
Whereas Christiansburg Planning Commission acted on a request by Christiansburg Town Council to study a request by James C. Dobbins for conditional use permit for a major home occupation for firearm sales, 185 South Central Drive, Northwest in R1 Single Family Residential District, has found following the duly advertised public hearing that the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practice permit the issuance of CUP to James C. Dobbins for conditional use permit for major home occupation for firearm sales at 185 South Central Drive. Therefore be it resolved, the Christiansburg Planning Commission recommends the Christiansburg Town Council approve the conditional use permit with the following conditions. There are 5. No more than 12 transactions shall be processed during a 12-month period. Security lighting shall be maintained on the property. No ammunition shall be sold with a firearm transaction. All firearms shall be stored within a secure location. This permit shall be subject to review by the Planning Commission in 1 year. Date is 15th day of June 2015. 9-4, 2 against.
Mr. Mayor, while we were having the discussion, I know Mr. Wingfield mentioned that there was some discussion about what a transaction is, and it was, I think Mr. Wingfield said, would you say it for me, Mr. Wingfield?
I think you probably have to consider a transaction a sale unless you define it otherwise.
So that's what we're, is that clear to everybody? I know there was some problems with that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, with much thought on this, I'm going to move that we not approve the conditional use permit as submitted.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, or any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to read I got my thoughts organized and make sure I say things succinctly. A conditional use permit allows the town to consider uses which may be essential or desirable, but which are not allowed as a matter of right within the zoning district through a public hearing process. A CUP provides the flexibility within our zoning ordinance to shape the community of the future. Central to the CUP process is the public hearing process, engaging public sentiment from those who are most directly affected by the outcome, in this case, the neighbors at Belmont Farms. The Planning Commission and Council have received a tremendous amount of input on Mr. Dobbins' request, and the Planning Commission has made a recommendation based on thoughtful and sound land use considerations. Also during this process, it seems that the applicant, the Dobbins family, may have experienced unnecessary chagrin, which I hope does not leave them questioning their move to our town. I, for one, hope they choose to make Christiansburg their home for a long time. All this being said, the majority of input I've received from the Belmont Farms community does not favor the issuance of the CUP, and so I will vote this evening in respect of the majority input that I've received.
And Brad, I couldn't have said it better.
Don't try. We're ready.
Very well.
Any further comments or questions? Madam Clerk, will you poll council?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
No. What we voting on your motion, right?
My motion
To not,
To deny.
to deny.
right? No.
Which is not
Hmm.
I
Go
want
ahead,
to
Jim, don't pull
approve.
that legal stuff.
Yes.
This is just to get the motion on the floor.
Right, that's what's done. All right.
Councilman Hall,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
This is to get the motion on the floor. Aye.
Wait a minute.
Well,
It's on the floor.
It's on the floor.
That's
It's on the
what I'm
floor
saying.
to approve. Are we voting now to approve or deny?
Yeah.
Is that what
You
that's
did
what we're
not.
the
denying?
motion is to deny.
Motion to deny.
Deny.
So
Will you
I
revoke
vote is to
council?
deny.
Correct.
Councilman Hubbard,
I am supporting it, whichever way that vote is.
So
Yeah, no vote.
No, okay.
Mr. Bishop, you're voting
No.
no to support the thing? We've got to make sure we get this right, guys.
No to
No
this
to
motion
deny it.
to deny it. I'm supporting the recommendation. See, from the planning commission.
Okay, very good. All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Councilman Showalter,
No. Oh, sorry, aye, sorry. Even I got confused, and I knew about it.
I think we all are.
Councilman Snipes,
Aye.
Can you repeat this back when we get done?
I think we all confused.
I have it 4-1 to
No,
deny the
it's
request.
3-2.
3-2 to deny the request.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there you go. The conditional use permit is denied. Thank you. Funding for the upgrades of the police department building. Towns,
In your package, you received sort of a breakdown of the, what's happened on the police department. The budget this year, we have $424,000. The original estimate on the design was $621,000 back in May of 2013. We expended about $110,000 on the design so far, and the original estimate did not have the design in it, that was just construction. The low bid is $822,000, so basically we have a shortfall of about $400,000 to upgrade it the way the project was bid. The architects provided me some possible changes that could reduce the cost. Of the ones that he recommended, or said that we could use, one of them was take the elevator out, which is, I think, pretty short-sighted, because we're going to have an elevator eventually, and then going back in and disrupting the police department to install it, plus you already have people working on all the floors. I don't think that's a good move. It's a very valuable move. It's about $65,000, $70,000, but I just don't think that's good. But anyhow, could take out about $80,000 to $90,000 with the recommendations. Would only recommend taking about $10,000 worth of reductions if it was up to Chief and myself, because of like I said, going back in later to finish things, or it's just going to be major disruption. And so I'd recommend, if we can, try to figure out how to fund either the full $400,000 or $380,000 approximately of it,
more or less.
more or less. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The elevator, there are going to be citizens that will have to go up to the third and fourth floor? Is that the big?
If we don't put the elevator in, then we'd have to, right now they're moving all the detectives and the interrogation rooms to top floor. If we don't put the elevator in, we'll have to keep some interrogation rooms on the main floor. And it's not the best flow of,
That was my
Yeah.
question, so interrogation.
we could
that
get
means-
around it, but it's
Yeah,
not a,
uh-huh. So Joe
not an
Schmo's
ideal
gonna have to go
situation.
up to the third floor.
and right now it's difficult. There's one employee there that's in a wheelchair, and she can go to the downstairs if someone takes her outside and around the building and into the basement. And she has to do that periodically, not daily, and she would not be able to go to third floor for meetings and stuff. If they happen to have some, they just have to make sure their meetings were down on one of the other 2 floors.
And it could make the interrogation on the first floor?
Oh, the main floor.
Oh,
Yeah, actually, at the bottom floor, which is sort of basement, the main floor, which is street level, and then
Oh.
the top floor that we're working on.
oh.
Elevator would run from basement to top, correct?
Yes. When we did the renovations originally, we left a place for the elevator to go from the basement through the first floor to the top floor. We took it out at that point because we knew eventually we'd be renovating the top floor and we could get by without it. And again, we can get by without it now, but it's not the ideal situation.
Are we required by ADA to have an elevator?
The part that's public, has public access, we're required to have access to, and if we restricted the public from using the top floor, we can get by without the elevator.
But they have to go for an interview or interrogation. They
We'd
need,
have to have the interviews on the main floor instead of the top floor.
But we're talking a shortfall of 400,000, give or take. I mean, if you have no elevator, it's still a shortfall of 350, 300,000. And so, or actually, 424 was the short, or that's, I take it that the plans that we received all included an elevator?
Yes, and the bids
All included.
that we received included the elevator.
And we've got how much set aside for the project 424?
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Helms, with the low bid again was about 800?
822, 500.
So we're about 400, a little less than 400.
The high bid is 959,000.
And, you know, I think as far as council is concerned, we know of some funds, obviously, that we could be utilizing that are in the same vein as, with our emergency services, of course. Is there any recommendations from the town as to where we should be looking at for the funds?
There's the 2 ways that we could do it is, one is bond, or 2, we have looking for here, emergency services building reserve set up right now.
Right.
And we have sufficient funds in it that we could cover it.
That's approximately
We have about 2 million in that
1.9,
right
2
now.
million.
Mhm.
The bond, you know, the terms of the bond, or what we'd be looking at a 5 or 10 year repayment, or?
Because we had, I don't know if I can get this out right or not, we had talked about an alternative method to go along with an item that we're going to talk about
Yes.
later in closed meeting.
Yes.
It might include that
That'd be the-
portion
That could possibly
into,
be the bond.
that's the bond?
Yeah.
Okay.
like-
I didn't want to give the impression we're just going to take a bond out for 400,000.
No, that was my understanding is that it was being, yeah,
Okay.
one bond total.
Yeah. 10-year bond would be about 2.6%, and 15-year would be about 2.85.
Payments for 20.
That's on, I got numbers on $2 million, just so we'd have an idea of,
Yeah, that's how much a month? Did you go 22,000 a year? No, it's maybe 22,000 a month, maybe bond servicing debt. More or less, ballpark.
About 250 on the service, and you have a 10 million, 2 million.
interest about 24, let's see, 48. No.
Can we afford it?
I think about 230,000
A year?
a year. Mhm.
It's okay.
That's
so-
on a 10-year. And 15 would be about 160,000.
Okay, so it's 10 to 15,000 a month, maybe give or take a little bit. Okay, and that's on the whole bond?
That'd be for
Okay.
everything if we did 2 million.
Guys, anybody else got comments on this that are,
I actually do. I mean, depending on what we discuss later on, I mean, I think that, the use of the emergency services fund. I think Cora mentioned that would be, that would be, to me, the best place to take those, that gap that we have to fund that, because we've been talking about the third floor for years. I think it's something we need. But my concern now is, I think we're all sort of floored by the we asked our administration to get a quote, and now it's doubled. My concern now is going forward, because this won't be the first and only time that we ask Barry, you and your staff to get us some figures so we can look at putting that in future budgets for items that are coming up. Is there anything we're doing different now going forward so that we don't run into a problem like that, where, we're quoted 200,000 and then it's 500,000?
We're trying to get better estimates, but sometimes you'll be off. The architect was very surprised it was that much off.
I was gonna say, the architect let you down on this. I
Yeah.
mean, when you said the grouping and the volume of bids you got in the grouping, from someone that does a cost estimating business, that architect let us down on that big time.
I was gonna reflect that way also. I was amazed. And I know that we talked about this building and got a general guesstimate about 3 years ago that it was gonna be around 500,000. I think we had that figure at some point, and I don't know what has caused that to be such almost doubling the amount. I'm not at all happy with the way this whole thing was handled by the architect and all.
Part of it was my fault, because when I looked at the 621, I didn't realize, and it's obviously not in there, that the architectural fees weren't in there. That's part of it. So
Okay.
that wasn't all his fault.
He did good. Chief Sisson, you just awful quiet back there, Hoss. What you thinking about?
I mean, I can brief you that strategically for 10 years, it's been on our agenda. We budgeted for it for 5 years. We budgeted for it 5 years previously, and it started coming into the budget 3 years ago, and we had to roll it over with that project coming up. Currently, I've got 3 secretaries and 1 kitchen with record bays and a kitchen. I've got 3 crime prevention personnel packed into 1 office. I got detectives doubled up in 10 by 10 offices. Strategically, this is an item that we need. We're continuing to grow, and I feel strong about it. And strategically, it's an item I think we need to move forward on.
I love the fact that we're downtown. I love the Montgomery County Government Center, this adaptive reuse of buildings, and the fact that we're not going out to look for a glitzy new, shiny new building someplace. This may be part of the cost of doing that. I guess I support it if we can, find a way to pay for it. I think we need to do it, and I think we need to stay downtown where we're at. I think it's a great statement we're making and how we're using our building space, but I will say that we were let down on this.
I agree with Mr. Showalter. If we do go this, I know the bond rates are very low right now, but I would like to stay away from bonds as much as we can.
Well, I think the consensus that I would like to have, either a nod or if you want to put it to a vote, is that we go ahead and finish the building. We'll worry about, we'll work out the details on the financing in with this next meeting or future meetings. Is that reasonable to you all?
My understanding is, we're gonna do that, absolutely. We just need to work out the
Yes.
financial logistics.
We've waited too long to get this done, and I think we're
We've talked about it every year, I know that I'm
without
on council.
question. So, then we will go ahead and,
Actually, one quick question. Has everybody toured the police department? If you haven't had a chance to, because I've been up there a couple of times, and to see the cubicles basically is what they are, and people stuck in the cubicles, and like I said, the detectives and 2 in a room, and it's just 10, when you have, I mean, that's not that it's a big evidence room, but when you have people in there and paperwork and documents, and sometimes it's critical to be able to, I mean, you got people working on top of people. It's been a necessity for years. It's not just a necessity this year going forward. And so, I mean, that's kind of what I took off. It's space is all utilized, we'll put it that way. There's no wasted space at all in the apartment. So, I mean, if you've been up there and looked at it, it's kind of remarkable that sometimes they can get a certain job done given the lack of space. So, again, he said it's critical, she said it's critical, it's crucial, I'm sure, going forward. And Brad's right, I mean, it's a great location, and I'm glad that we're not looking to purchase and build, that we're using what we've got. I think that's important. If we could talk to the school board about that, would be wonderful. I'll leave that alone.
So, we will pursue. Do you want a motion on it, or is this just a head shake that we're good enough to go?
I think we need a motion to pursue.
That's fine.
Proceed with
So
it.
moved that, I'll make a motion that we proceed with the completion of the, I guess, the construction project for the police department.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? We beat it around the table pretty good tonight. Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilman Hall,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
I believe that to be 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Council reports. Mr. Hall, you got anything going? Just random selection.
No, we didn't have a Recreation Commission meeting this month because of the World Series event. We'll pick that back up in about 3 weeks. But I guess all I can report on is again, the World Series, for all intents and purposes, we've already got awarded the next one, so I think things went extremely well. The limited time I was able to be up there, I enjoyed myself tremendously. I think that's all I've got, Mr. Mayor. Nothing else?
Mr. Bishop?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
You know what? I do have one more thing. I know it, but I don't.
I almost dropped it down. I almost had you
It
sold,
is.
but anyway.
I think it's important to mention. I think it's important to mention this, though. I actually had some trials today in Radford, and the ladies came up to me from the clerk's office, and apparently they came over here just to use that bridge, and they wanted to walk it from the mall to the recreation department. And it's funny that Brad mentioned that tonight, 'cause I said, well, eventually it'd be nice if you'd be able to walk all the way to downtown. They said, that'd be great. And it's funny that we actually had that as a presentation tonight, but we're getting some really good, after months and months, maybe a year of really bad, not so much press, but at least some comments about that bridge. I didn't realize people were, I knew they were ready for it. I didn't realize they were that ready for it. And so again, Brad and everyone nodding back there, there were some fantastic comments about that thus far from day one, and we're still getting to the present. So that flows into our Recreation Commission, what we've been trying to do for a long time. So that's, again, very, very excited about that. Seems like everybody else is as well.
Mr. Stipes?
I'll just say, along the Huckleberry Trail extension, I venture to say within a couple of years, we'll feel the same way about it as we do about the Recreation Center. If you want to measure the value of the Recreation Center or the Aquatic Center, the Huckleberry Trail falls in this category, is try to imagine the community without it. And that's the value of the Huckleberry Trail will rise to that very quickly.
Mr. Showalter?
Nothing on my committees other than anybody who's interested in attending the Central Business District Committee is the Monday night at
6:30.
6:30. There's some items on there, might be of some interest of people downtown. But nothing from any of the committees I'm on, but I would like to just add that bridge is great. I've been on it, I don't know how many times. And I see people using it, enjoying it. And it's a great vantage point of the property we bought as well. So typically, if somebody doesn't know where our 60 acres is, I tell them to go to the top of the Huckleberry Bridge and just look behind Merchants. So it's a great vantage point.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hubbard.
You know, I don't think anybody has mentioned this summer about the flowers in downtown. And I think they look super, and I hope that we can get a comment down to whoever's responsible for it. You know, I think they look good, and the town is really pretty. And I know all council appreciates that.
I've gotten comments on that at the 4th of July celebration, and about every Thursday at the farmer's market, people are complimenting how that went. So, and I think next meeting, we're going to have a report from farmer's market.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting for you all. Okay. Town managers report.
I have a lot of stuff. I'd like to set a public hearing for August 11th for the CDBG Consolidated Plan for 2015-16 and that 2015-16 Annual Action Plan for the CDBG grant. And then have several to set for the 25th of August. One's for Cambria Crossing. They'd like to amend their conditions for single-family dwellings to allow a corner lot to have 10-foot side setback from adjoining street instead of 15-foot setback. And they'd like to add a provision to allow for all projections such as eaves, cornices, fireplaces, window sills to project into the yard setback by a maximum of 2 feet. And then another area, request to amend town code to have a density of 20 units per gross acre in a planned housing development. A CUP is required for planned housing development. And then request a rezoning for the property north of Quinster Boulevard from agriculture to R3 multifamily residential district, and contingent on a rezoning, a request for CUP for planned housing development in R3 multifamily residential district. Like to set this one for all those last ones other than the consolidated plan for the community housing development block grant, action plan, and consolidated plan. Let me start over. The consolidated plan and annual action plan for community development block grant for the 11th of August, and all the rest of them for the 25th of August. I'll set those public hearings.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was second, any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Hall?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
Move that to be 5-0.
Yes, sir.
Back when we were working on the budget, we decided to apply for grants for school resource officer. We've been awarded the grant. I'll get more information off at the next meeting, give you details on the cost and that kind of stuff. But we got the letter this week that we were awarded that grant.
A grant, For one
Two-
officer?
For one position, I
Two
think.
positions. It's two.
We discussed.
So we can accept none, one, or two.
As a refresher and for everybody here, the 3-year grant's correct? And it goes down as far as each year what the amount that's provided, is that correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Do you by any chance have the percentages or the amounts that are attached to that grant?
I have that information tonight.
I don't, say again?
I do have that information.
You have, okay.
If you would like to discuss it openly, you can wait for the next meeting.
Might as well.
Come on up, man.
So as directed, I put in for the grant for SRO. I know there was lengthy discussion about that. We were awarded the 2 positions under the grant. I did meet with the superintendent from Montgomery County Public Schools today and discussed that with her. She said she had no objection, but she would have to get board approval before she could give me final approval to allow the officers into their schools. I did speak with her briefly about funding and simply asked her if that was something that her office or the school board would be willing to help fund, and she adamantly said she couldn't set that precedent. So that answer was no. So the grant details specifically would be, we would have 2 SROs, one would be at Fallen Branch Elementary, one would be at CES CPS, and they would split that campus. The first year salary would be $38,660. That would be our out-of-pocket for the town. Second year would go to $48,000. The third year would go to $60,000, and the fourth year would go to $75,000. And after year 4, we would have to pick up full salary and benefit for the 2 positions.
Chief, the full salary and benefit for the 2 positions, just a ballpark, what are we looking at?
Around 60, 65.
That's,
Salary benefit.
is that per SRO or?
That's per SRO.
Per SRO, that's what I was thinking, so total about 125, 130? Okay.
Chief Simpson, For these positions, they're not, I mean, they are primarily there as SRO, but do you use those positions in any other duties?
As us, in the summer times, when school is not in, we use them to augment our patrol forces. We use them in crime prevention, which is very beneficial, especially during the summer months with vacation.
And there's a different DARE officer, right? They're not gonna be the DARE officers for that school?
They would be trained to be DARE officers, and they would teach DARE in those schools.
Chief, in the counties and some of the other schools that I'm in, on the elementary and the primaries, they'll actually, like they have a rotation like what you have with Christopher Primary and Christopher Elementary, if we had one there. Theoretically, I guess, could we do Christopher Primary, Christopher Elementary, and Fallen Branch on a rotation? If we needed it, if we only had the amount for ability for one position to be funded?
We would have to be very fair about our rotation.
Sure.
Because it would be the logistics of that and parents in those schools. It would be difficult, but I think we could manage that.
Right.
It's a change. I'm surprised because we've, in the past, had an officer, or our school resource officer at Christiansburg High School.
Mhm.
That's being moved now,
Well,
Fallen Branch and the middle school and primary school.
we have an SRO in the high school, we have an SRO in the middle school. And we do not have one in the elementary schools. This would be a move to put them specifically in the middle schools, and we would continue to have them at the elementary schools, correct?
Right.
We would still have an SRO at the middle school and high school, full time.
And the closest we became is when we had an officer stationed at Fallen Branch for a time period, correct? And that was their officer, was it not?
At first it
At
was,
first.
and then we opened it up for others.
For surrounding municipalities, do they have officers in each of their facilities, do you know?
Montgomery does not. Blacksburg has a roving SRO. They have middle school, high school, and their elementaries. They have one that rows from elementary school to elementary school.
I'm not aware of any that have a permanent in anything below middle school. And I want to say some of them, like for the county, they'll do some Prices Fork schools all the way over to Bellevue and rotate, which is logistically, I guess, it's just about as far as Fallen Branch to Christopher Prime, maybe a little less for us.
And for me administratively, I have 30 days to accept or deny the grant through DCGS.
Chief, one more question, not to put you too much on the spot, but let me put you on the spot. I think everybody knows my position on SROs. I'm a firm believer in SROs. I think that's an invaluable resource. But at the primary and elementary level, and from your professional standpoint, the level of benefit to be derived from having those positions funded, or if we just had one roving in the three, do you have any take on that?
Well, you know, the question would always come up, what criminal element do you have in the elementary school?
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to answer that there's very little criminal element in an elementary school. For me, and the magnitude that an SRO can have in an elementary school goes well beyond that. I'm all about building relationships in our community. That's something I preach every day. And I believe personally that it starts with our elementary age citizen. We have to make that contact early, and to have a full-time SRO in those elementary schools, I fully support. I think it's a little unprecedented, but I think it's an opportunity for us to set the standard for the communities around us, because our society's not getting any better.
Well, they play a large role with it's not a criminal element, but in the civil side of things on abuse and neglect of children and being present in the schools, and CPS investigators are able to come in, and a lot of times it's facilitated through when there's a roving SRO. So again, there's a lot of benefits that might not be so evident, but
And there is a financial element to the municipality, and I understand and definitely respect that. So I know it's not an easy decision. I'll just give you my opinion on the benefits that I think are there.
These officers are specially trained. I mean, there's some people who get along well with the kids, who could generate well. Where they have special classes and how to work with, 5 and 6 year olds, 7-year-olds.
The grant requires that the officer that is assigned to that position attends the DCGS SRO school within a 12-month period. And I can tell you that the ones that I put there, I will know already whether they'll be able to do that job or not, because there's some that could not. That's just not an element for them to work in.
So you have 30 days, so we will have one more, possibly two more meetings before this. Is that correct? So I think by the next meeting, can we make it?
I'll put it on the agenda for
28th
next
will be a
meeting.
busy night, but can we go ahead and make a decision either then or by the 11th, which is
Will we have to the 11th, Mr. Mayor?
the 11th of August meeting? We're gonna meet the 28th of this month, is that correct?
When do we get approval for the grant? Was it,
July 1, so I would have.
so we have to do it by the 28th?
So we have to do that now, okay. So
Right.
you wanna
I'll put it on the agenda for the
put
next
on the
meeting.
agenda and any information, Mark, that you can share with the town manager, I'm sure he'll share with us.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, one more quick question for Chief Sisson.
Mhm.
If we do accept a grant, or one of the grants, if you will, we are obligated, even beyond the year 4, to continue to fund that position, correct? By virtue of our agreement to the grant.
That's correct.
And how, is there a time frame of that, or on that?
No, it's.
Not that we'd be looking to get rid of the position, but,
I asked that of the grant administrator today, and she had asked the grant administrator from Richmond, who has not responded to her, because I knew there was a question would come up, and I didn't have the answer.
Sure. I'm sure it's gotta be, I'm sure it's a, yeah.
And
Thank
then
you,
the
Chief.
4th year, that would cost us approximately how much?
75.
For two positions, it's gonna cost, a top salaried officer's position plus benefits, which will be 65 times 2, which is
120.
130.
35.
You said the 4th year would be 75.
Correct. The
Yeah.
4th year, it'll be 75,000. After that, it'll be full.
If we had one officer.
But that's for both, that's for the,
That's for
that's for the
two.
two.
That's for two.
And with Chief up here, and I may be missing the boat, but I thought during our budget discussions, we had talked about pursuing one.
Mhm.
We did.
Doing a
Okay.
roving.
So we can accept a grant for one or two, right? It's not 0 or 2, right?
I have to confirm that. I think we can accept 2 or 1, or deny the grant.
Well, of course
I
we can
will
deny it,
confirm
but it's not 0 or 2, it's 0, 1 or 2.
That's the way I understand it.
But, and we'll have more discussion about it, but that's what I recall from our budget discussions.
Right.
I certainly would like to support it.
Let me go over this, I'm a little bit slow here. Let's say we hired one, okay, we got one. And that officer could be the DARE officer and bounce from one school to the next, right? And so, right now, we have a DARE officer anyway, but this could take that person's place, or that person could be that. And so we wouldn't have to have another officer, if you understand what I'm trying to say. We could do that?
That's correct. We use an officer in our crime prevention unit to teach DARE. He would probably still teach some DARE, but this new position would take more of an active role in the DARE throughout the elementary schools. That's correct. We wouldn't lay anyone off, we would reassign duties is what we would do in that respect.
Chief, one more quick question. Will we have confirmation from the school board or from the county that they're gonna allow the SRO in the schools prior to the 28th?
She told me that it would be on the agenda for the August 28th meeting. and
August 20?
I told her that was not feasible, I needed to know within the next 2 weeks, so she advised she would send an email to her board to get clarification or get
Okay.
the allowance to do that.
You think we'll know that by the 28th?
If not, I'll be knocking her door down.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to add one thing. When Steve got done, as I asked the chief before, that officer would augment our force during the summer months.
That's correct.
And holidays.
That would help.
And
We've got
holidays.
the break
Overtime.
periods.
Not only do you have the DARE and the SRO duties, but also he can perform regular duties as an officer as well,
Okay.
and will.
All right, thank you, Chief. Anything else, Mr.?
Yes, sir. I'd like to announce that Jim Lancinese and Travis Moles completed a 3-year public works course down in Georgia. Ricky Bourne has completed it, and Todd Walters also. And next year, thanks to their efforts, we'll start teaching it in Virginia. So we don't have to send people all the way to Georgia to get this comprehensive public works management course. We worked hard to get it, and I'm proud of them. So, and also I'm proud that they're working on getting one here in Virginia. They might not, the people in the future might not like it too much that they have to go to Tech or somewhere for this instead of getting to go to Georgia, but I like the idea myself.
Sure. Okay.
On August 20th, we're gonna have a legislative reception. Is it August 20th? Yeah, legislative reception for all legislators in the New River Valley to talk about the Rail 2020 and getting the passenger rail service to the New River Valley. So if you want to put that on your calendar, you'll be getting an invitation later. And it'll be up at Radford at the Kobe Center, which is their new building up on Tyler. And we had the rail committee meeting today, and they asked for a contribution of $500 to help proceed partly, mostly for this reception. And we had in the budget $1,000 for Trans-Dominion Express, and I think during the discussion said we'd leave it in there, but it probably wouldn't go to Trans-Dominion, it'd go to rail service. So I'd like to use 500 of that for New River Valley Rail Service.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
See, the 611 steam engine here in town was pretty cool.
Okay,
And that's all I have.
all right, very good.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, I would move that council enter into closed meeting under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3 for the discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held real property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. The closed meeting is for discussion regarding land located on Cambria Street and Peppers Ferry Road. I would ask for the council to be polled.
Do I have a
Excuse me,
second to that?
may I make a comment or two? I'd like to go ahead and leave before y'all close this and open it back up. Y'all took 2 months of my time. Could I just have a few minutes of yours?
Sure.
Thank you. I would really like, would you rather me to go to the podium or can I go from here?
We got you covered. Go ahead.
Okay. I would really like a better explanation of the denial of my request, other than what Mr. Stipes said. And if that is the only, if that's the only thing that he used as his basis, then that should be used in the office downstairs when someone comes to make an application, so that they don't waste $750 and 2 months of their time for a, well, there you go, thank you. If I sound a little irritated, I am. I have spent, what, 4 or 5 meetings. I've tried to be as calm, cool, professional, and patient as possible. I've spent 15 years doing what I'm doing. It's not like I just thought this up a month ago and decided I would put in an application. In 15 years, it never had any effect on any neighbor or neighborhood. I've tried to do my business quietly and discreetly for my own benefit, for my neighbors, for my neighborhood, and for my customers. The numerous emails and requests for denial that you've gotten from my neighbors, they have a benefit that I seem not to be able to find. I looked it up to see if I could send y'all an email, or to have some of my neighbors, quite a few of whom came to the very first meeting and then decided that after they heard my explanation, my next door neighbor, as a matter of fact, said after he never had any reason to come back after he heard the discussion, he had no problem with it. I would have liked to have had some of my supporters send you emails. I have no idea how to find y'all's emails. So my opposers had an advantage of me.
It's a matter of public information. Go to the Christiansburg Town website, under the Town Council Administration, and all of our emails are listed.
That may be on the full site. I was using my cell phone as my computer at the moment is being repaired, so.
They're all out there in the public, Mr. Dobbs. I'm not going to debate with you.
Okay, I'm not
whether
either.
you
I'm
had
just
the
saying.
opportunity or not. The information was there.
Okay, well, I'm taking your word for it, that's fine. It's probably not on the mobile site. my oversight. As I said, my computer is being repaired, so I didn't have, and I didn't think or bother to go to the full site. But in response to what Mr. Bradford said, yes, I do regret my decision to move to town. I made the statement earlier in one of these meetings that I wasn't quite prepared for the level of ignorance that I ran into on the first meeting. And when I say that, I don't mean that derogatively at all. Ignorance is just not knowing all the facts or being given all the information. And I'll have to admit that there was some ignorance on my part. I wasn't expecting that kind of response, so I didn't bother to go out and do a public information campaign on my own. However, most of the emails you got, I would be willing to bet came from no more than about 4 sources. And I have it from several of my other neighbors who have decided not to be opposers, that had it not been for 2 to 3 in my neighborhood, and most of those are over a half mile away, there would probably have been none. But they get a call or a knock on their door about every 3 days to see if they're still willing to lend their name or their email to the force against me. I don't mean this in any mean way, but if it's that easy to say no, and if it's that well outlined, then I would suggest in future that there be some better outlines and some rearranging of your guidelines for these CUPs, so that someone wouldn't make the mistake. When I went to make my application, I was under the impression, oh, we've seen this several times before, this is not a big deal, we've had several of these. It wasn't given to me as a rubber stamp, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was. But I had absolutely no indication that it would be this kind of altercation, any way, shape, or form. And I heard something from the town manager just a few minutes ago that doesn't make any sense to me at all. I was told that this is a conditional use permit, which means it could be reviewed and revoked. Is that correct? If it were granted, it could be. So how can you give a conditional use permit for what was the multi-person housing? How do you revoke that? If you build housing and let multiple families live in it, how do you revoke it? How can that be a conditional use permit? Wouldn't that require a zoning change? Because it's pretty much permanent, you can't revoke it. I'm not trying to be mean.
You got a minute.
I
and then
have.
We'll cut you off.
Okay. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit upset, because I am. I've spent, to me, a large amount of money and no small amount of time trying to do something legally and quietly that I've done for 15 years, and I was upset that all I got was, well, there you go, thank you. I would just suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that in the future, please have some better guidelines so someone like me wouldn't make the mistake of going in through this only to be denied, because as far as I know, there's no way for me to get my money back. This is one last thing I'll say and I'm done. This is only the second, and I've applied for a lot of permits in my life. This is only the second one in my life that I've ever had to pay up front for. The first one was for the FFL license I got 15 years ago. This is the only one that I have ever had, that I have applied for, that I've had to pay up front for, and there was no return policy if it were not granted. Also, you made the statement that you had to think about your citizens and your voters folks, I pay my taxes and I'm a voter too. And I am the one who made the request and paid the money. I
Thank you,
think
Mr.
a little bit
Dobbins.
more,
Your time's up.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. On to your motion.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop, Councilman Hall,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
It'll be 5-0. We're gonna take about a 3-minute break and go into, we'll go into a closed session. I thought I did. You got me now? Can you hear me now?
Members of council, the mayor, I move to certify that the town council of the town of Christiansburg meeting in closed meeting in the best of each member's knowledge discussed only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law and only such matters as are identified in the resolution to enter into closed meeting. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Madam Clerk, from full council.
Yes. Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilman Hall,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
It'll be 5-0. Action on this particular closed meeting?
Mr. Mayor, I,
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to authorize the town manager to pursue purchasing of the specified property for no more than $1.1 million in,
You don't have to.
Associated costs.
and associated costs. Yes, sir.
Have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilman Hall,
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Stipes.
Aye.
That would be 5-0. Anything else to come before council? Do I hear that
Yep,
motion?
well, just a quick question, I'm sorry. Because I had the same input that Mr. Dobbins did about giving refunds back. When is the when is the correct time for me to bring that up or try to see, how do we work on that? If somebody's put in $750 or whatever that they don't understand approved, can they get a
Well,
refund?
one question I've got is, I actually discussed this with him, but where he couldn't get a refund, but we incur a cost for advertising, the publication in the paper.
Really
Okay.
goes to cover the cost, because legal ad is usually about $150.
Okay.
Certified letters are $5.50 to $6 each.
So that is-
We pay
okay.
the planning commission $25 per meeting.
Okay,
Per member.
Post signs on the property, we have to print maps, things like
Gotcha.
that. So
Okay.
legal ad is the average
so that's what it costs, okay.
And Sam, I'd say,
We don't make anything.
Well, that cleared that up.
Sam, I'd just like to mention this,
Yes.
we return this money, every person that applies and has to pay that money can now say, hey, you gave this person back their money.
That's so, I understand what you're saying now, but that cleared it up, why we don't profit, we spend it.
And I agree with you. I
mean,
hate
it's
the
just-
fact that he's trying to get that money back. I do, but in the same respect, yeah, I was thinking about it, about the cost just in legal notices alone, which is by far the biggest expense there, and the planning commission members.
Okay.
And I also agree, it's a precedent you don't want to set, and it is the cost of doing business with the town. We actually raised that rate a couple of years back, if I recall.
Because we weren't,
Every locality
we
does.
weren't covering
Yeah.
costs.
Okay.
Every single
Well,
one.
that cleared it up for me, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Anything else to come before council? We are adjourned. Thank you,